Okay. Today we want to start a new mimer. Before we go in there, the mimer we just finished, which is like I said, in a way it's based on the mimer of the Mittel Rebbe and the Alter Rebbe. There was one point there, one line that we had a problem with because it said the opposite of what we usually say. In page Kufayin Ches, it says Nitzach Nepres Shinuim, which is like the opposite of what it says everywhere, and the opposite of what the Mshachamaima. So there was one suggestion made, maybe a different pshat. I'll bring it in. I'm not sure about it. Maybe we can say the opposite of what we said all along, that Nitzachen is Shinuim. But then it does if you look at the lashon over there, Nitzachen is Shinuim, because we can, if you want to look at it that way, that Nitzachen means that a person is in a state, it does things that are not outside of the normal life. He fights, so it's a Shinui, the Nitzachen part. There's the part so he says that Lamaila, the source of Nitzachen is from a place of Lamaila Mishanuim. But the Nitzachen itself, the way, maybe that's what he's saying. The Nitzachen is Shinuim Nichumim, because we could in a certain state say that Nitzachen is Shinuim Nichumim, in the Midas and the Ratzon and Tainuk. Shinuim means that the person is in a stage, Bichlal, is not. Is just living his life, and then in order to fight the war, he goes out of his way. So that is in a way, maybe it is a state of Shinui. But the chiddush of this mimer is that Lamaila, the source of the Nitzachen is from a higher place, which is above. That's a suggestion to say pshat in this mimer. Doesn't still doesn't smooth. It's not so smooth, but bothers me more is that I didn't find it in any other memorim that talk about this topic. They should say that Nitzachen within the normal way, he calls it Shinuim. I didn't find it. Okay, so I just want to make.
But as you said, that whenever we say Netzach, meaning like.
No, Netzach means Milashon Nitzchius. That's Milashon. Yeah, right. Netzach means Nitzchius. That means the forever. So that.
In Bas Lagani, when we learned the Nitzachen, there it seems faket. Then Nitzachen means that it's not null.
It's not what?
That's not Shinoim.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. And all of them, Bas Lagani is based on also this part of is also, it's all based on this mime of the Alter Rebbe. It's a Simchas Torah Tovkov Samachet Tzidkus Pirzegna B'Yisrael, and also in Teres Chaim, the Mittel Rebbe. These two basic memorim talk about Nitzachen in a way that nobody ever, I never saw anybody mention. I mean, maybe I missed something. I mean, maybe, but all the places I saw, I didn't see that what he says here, the opposite. That's what bothered me. But that's a suggestion. I mean, the other option is to say that
what does it mean? The Ma'ila knows Nitzachen. The whole inyan of Nitzachen is Shinuim.
Okay. That's another point. Why is Nitzachen Shinuim? Okay, so you're right. That's what I'm saying. It's possible. There's a small possibility that this is what it means to say. I don't know if it's something Shinuim. Shinuim means that you break, you break the menaget, you destroy the menaget. So that's a shinui. You're right. So maybe that's pshat. So if that's pshat, if that is pshat, then in our maimo, the chiddush is that the Nitzachen stav is not Shinuim, but it comes from a place which is above Shinui. You can say that also. Like I said, but I didn't find it in any other memo yet. You should talk about that part, that there is Shinui. We could, if you want, say that Nitzachen has an aspect of that Shinui. Okay. All right, let's go to my base. It's Amad Kuper base. ורוח אלוקים מרחפת על פני המים. So it says in the beginning of Chomer Bereishis, Parsha Bereishis, Bereishis Balkan Shemayim v'Sa'aretz. Vorach says Satoy v'Voy v'Chosh al Pnei Sarim, ורוח אלוקים מרחפת על פני המים. So it goes back to the subject of Toy and Tikkun that we learned a lot in this Sefer. First of all, the second Maimah, the Hemshach Shvuah, the Olam towards the third Tikkun, and the Maimah after that. So he goes back to the same place. So we jump right into Eitz Chaim. Mrachefes, what does the word Mrachefes mean? Rapach Meis. Mrachefes is made up of two words. The Oisius, Rapach, Meis. Well, Pchinas Rapach Nitzutz in the Torah Shnafel B'Shiva Sakein. So this means that the Tzaremes and the concept that there's a Rapach Nitzutz, that Meis means that Shvir Sakein. Nitzutz Seidem Pchinas Nitzutz Eresh Nisha B'Shiva Yakein the Torah, the Oyer Nistalak Lamayda, Nisha Rapach Nitzutz in Oyer B'Shiva Yakein. That is what it says in Kabbalah about the Torah. There's a Rapach Nitzutzin, 288, and they v'zeh Rapach Meis, Rapach Nitzutzin, the Torah Novel which is the Keilim Demis. So that is the Eitz Chaim Kabbalah description of the what the remnants in the pasuk Vorach Elekim Mrachefes al Pnei Hamayim. Mrachefes means the inyan of Torah. It says Oisa Torah v'Voy. And then you have Rapach Nitzutz. Tzorich Lovin, Lefizeh Ma Pirush Vorach Elekim Mrachefes. According to this pshat, that Mrachefes is Merames of the Nitzutz of Torah, you have to understand what is the meaning of Vorach Elekim Mrachefes. What is the word of Vorach Elekim? How do they fit in Mrachefes? Either b'Medrash Isa, there's another Medrash. Medrash says on this pasuk, Vorach Elekim is Oroch Hashem Mashiach. Go, the Vorach Elekim, what happened right the Eibishter created the world? Words is the Vorach Elekim, Oroch Hashem Mashiach go. That the pasuk talks about Mashiach. Mishnema, V'Onoch Ha'olah, Vorach Hashem, Vorach Chochmah Bina. We say in Yom Tov davening. So that the word Ruach here is Maramed, that the word Ruach says by Mashiach, V'Onoch Ha'olah, Vorach Hashem. So the Medrash connects the Ruach Elekim with Mashiach. Be'ezeh Zchus, and the Medrash says further, Be'ezeh Zchus Mamash M'Shabah. What is Vorach Elekim Mrachefes al Pnei Hamayim? Medrash says that the Ruach Elekim is Mashiach. Be'ezeh Zchus Mamash M'Shabah. What is the merit that brings Mashiach, makes Mashiach come? Zchus HaTshuva Shanim Shalomai. He comes in the honor and the merit of the tshuva. Mishal kosov shifre kamayim libech nechap pnei Hashem. So shifre kamayim libech means tshuva. So Vorach Elekim Mrachefes al Pnei Hamayim is marames that the Vorach Elekim, the Vorach Mashiach, how does it arrive? How does it mamash meshubah? It's a result of Pnei Hamayim, which is tshuva. So love in mind and ruach shel Mashiach. Why we talk about Mashiach, we talk Ruach, spirit. The Mashiach brings Yechida. Mashiach is the level of Yechida. The Moshe is a Halachayim, Mashiach is a Yechida. It says also, it's another part, it says in Kabbalah that Moshe is reaches Chayim. Mashiach is Yechida. Ma Pirush Ruach shel Mashiach shepnes Ruach. So he mixes in two things. Not Eish Roach Mayim Ofo. It's connected the four madrigas of Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chaya. So Ruach is one of the lower madrigas. Mashiach is Yechida. So why is Ruach? No, it's a question. A rem is the question. Gam Maza Shach Masham Achakach Mrachefes. What is the connection of Ruach with Mrachefes? In other words, what is the remez on all this? So to understand this concept, we're going into a new discussion. The Sefer Yitzirah describes the way the Eibishter created the whole universe, the whole system of Ishtarshalus. So the three main parts of it. Olam, Shana, and Nefesh. What does it mean? Olam hu b'chinas ha-metzir shekol davar. Olam defines the metzius. Chol davar sheyesh lo metzius, ha-metzir shel davar is the olam. Every existing things, the part of him that exists, that's called olam. The olam chlal b'chinas makom. B'chal olam b'yachas the olam and shana nefesh always olam is makom and nefesh is and shana is man. So olam is makom. Makom b'chinas metzius. Anything that takes up space, that shows its existence. So similar, just like space, something takes up space, it means it exists, takes up space, it doesn't allow anything else in that space, so it has its own being. So that Metzius and Olam got together. It's not only in the physical sense of Mokim, in the Metzius Ava, so Olam signifies the Metzius part, the being, but he's going to contrast it with the other parts. We understand what he means as being. It goes into a long discussion about it. So Metzius, so in our Seichel, and even in the spiritual koiches, like love or intellect, Metzius Ava, Metzius HaSeichel Zeh B'chinas Olam. When we point to the love, we say this is an existence of love, this existence of intellect, the existence part, that is what we call Olam. Even above Seichel. Example, the Madrig of Tainug, which is the light, which the Chassidus always explains, this is the ultimate, the highest Madrig in the Nefesh. In the Metzius HaTainug is a Gam B'chinas Olam. Doesn't give Gam Zeh B'chinas Olam. So Olam in every Madrig in what we know, Olam signifies that Metzius part, the tangible existence. So the statement we just made, that Metzius is Olam, applies also to the upper worlds, to the Olam Esalyonim, the spiritual worlds. Malachim, for example, Malachim, the Metzius Ava, the Malach Nechoel, the Mashal, Nika B'chinas Olam, ve'Eichel, Eichel Ava. That Metzius Ava, that tangible being which we call love, it's called Olam, and also Eichel. Olam and Eichel are interchanged. Eichel Av, Nina Kol Metzius Malachim, what is the existence of Malachim? Malach is a spiritual being. So what is this being? It's a spiritual midah. Zeh Kol Metziusam, Zeh Kol Ischalkusam. That makes one different than the other. Shezeh sheyesh Mitzchalkus Malachim. Fact that we say that two malachim here, what's the difference? A malach doesn't take up space, so what takes up physical space? So when we say one malach is different than the other, why is this? What are the difference? So one is Ava, one is Zero. Not only that, but Ava Gufa. So the definition of the existence of a malach, there's a spiritual being, is the way is emotion. Is drive. So that drive is called Ava. Here, what is an Ava? So male is a Metzius Ava Shela Malach Nika Olam Veich. Moiken Malach Gabriel Beir Nika Echlair. Moiken Yesh Gam Batzil Yesh Cholos. If you remember, we learned that earlier one with the memoir. That's not seal. That's Malachim and Elam Abriya. So we describe what is Metzius, what is Olam in Elam Abriya. The Metzius is the Cholos, the Midas, Ava, Ir. Even in Olam Atzilis, we also find the concept of a Cholos. Nika B'nai Sir Shalai. That's what the pasuk says. Shiur ani v'nava. Yeah, we had it earlier on the Maya. Shiur ani v'nava b'nai Yerushalayim. What is b'nai Yerushalayim? So earlier we had a pshat. The b'nai Yerushalayim talks about the neshamas l'mayla. Here says a totally different pshat. B'nai Yerushalayim means the bondage of P'chinas Kfarim. Ben is like B'nois means like next to the city there are villages, there are suburbs. The villages they're called B'nois. K'moshe Kasuv. Here's a pasuk to prove it in Chumash. Cheshbon Chol Bnei Sel. What does Cheshbon Chol Bnei Sel mean? The city of Cheshbon, Sichon is Melech Cheshbon, and Moshe Rabbeinu did and conquered Melech Cheshbon. Chol Bnei Sel. What does Chol Bnei Sel means? All the surrounding villages. So we see that Banais can mean village. Mele, Kmoyak for Smochel Leir, Shachem Leir. So when we say that Cholos of Atzilus are called Bnei Yerushalayim because Kmoyak for, just like the villages in Smochel Leir are near the city of Shachem Leir, like the suburbs of the city. Kmoyak and Cholos of Atzilus, and Shayachim Knas Malchus Seyu Meis. Okay. So just like the Cholos also called Kfor, which Cholos, now Cholos that still simply yes. That's the key he wants to bring out here. He wants to talk about Metzius, Olam. So the Cholos of Atzilus, which is Bnei Yerushalayim and Kforim, all of them are Metzius, yes. There's a certain level of Yeshus. This is Betania, the Cholos that still simply yes. So in Tanya, where is it in Tanya? In one of the Agos. So one second. If I find it here. Yeah. Oh, so one second. Yeah, there's no this. So Tanya actually doesn't talk. Tanya talks about it. That's not the Cholos of Atzilus. Tanya talks about the Cholos of Bri and Yitzir. It's interesting. So he says in Tanya Perek Vametes, it says like this. The Lashon Tanya is and the Shammos. And the Shabbos Eilen Echolos Velikuz De'as Sfirat Alavidas Be'Echolos B'Der in the B'Deri Yitzir B'Danim Zavashina. So it's my. What's it here? That's maybe it needs the Gasa Kodesh and Chak. Okay. Sorry. No. Oh yeah, that's a Kodesh. There's a lot. Simon Kof, Chem Chitzilus. Chitzilus Akelim. That's as well that Tzilus. And of course, Niva Echolos B'Atzilus. וגם גוף יש דבר לכם בעצם שם כנס יש, שאין אפילו זית לגמרי. So the cholas of Atzilus, yeah, that's kind of yes. Time in the just a kind of simple. Okay. By cholas have malach. What happens in the cholas? In the cholas you have malach, but the chlal malachim usually is not in Atzilus. It doesn't explain it. But you know what? In the just a kind of over there. It says the Lashon. No, it says Malachim and Shamas and Chol. Yeah. No, it says Gam Gufas to Malachim da Atzilus. Usually we say Nisam Malach ba Atzilus. Generally speaking, there's no Malachim in Atzilus, but in this Maimon, in this Yigas does talk about Malachim in Atzilus. Choz da Atzilus Gam Malachim in Atzilus. So what?
Malachim are not in Atzilus.
That's it usually. I'm saying that's what I usually know, but I just opened Tanya. If you have a Tanya, Daf Kuf Lamed Amud Aleph, the Lashon over there says, Ritzonius Akenim De'as Atzilus Da'Atzilus Shenekut Nivra Echoles Da'Atzilus V'gam Gufes HaMalachim Da'Atzilus Shem Knes Yesh. I guess it's a higher level Malachim. It's not the standard Malachim that we know, but there's a bigger Malachim. It's not Atzilus. Okay, that's maybe I'll look into it more and talk about it more. Weiter, so he said, "By Cholas and Malachim, Shabbos Malachim Barash." In the Cholas, what happens in the Cholas? There's Malachim there. Like you said earlier, the Eichel Arava, Eichel Eir. So that's a Malachim. What is that Malachim? Then Avodas Malachim Barash B'Murgash. Malachim in general, their avodas with noise. Meshukos of I find him Barash Godel, like we say in davening. Meshoimrim, we find Barash Godel. V'hu Kamashal Ben Kfar Shalosh Samelach. Okay, so that fits the Indian of Kfar, like the famous Gemara says that what it is in the Cheskel in Ishaya. Cheskel in Ishaya describes the Merkava one pasuk. Just says Alisi Hashem. Yeshiva Kise, upon of Shul name is Eichel, where Eshmacha Kadosh Gadol, Bakbet Hashem Kaimai, and that's it. There was one pasuk. Cheskel is a Merkava Cheskel, just let Shavuot, a very long description of the Merkava. The Gemara, what's the difference between the Cheskel and Ishai? And the Gemara answers in the Dem Ben Karach Shalei Samer or Ben Kfar Shalei Samer. That Ishai is that when a city dweller sees the king, he lives in the city, he's familiar with the king, so he's not as excited because he lives in the area. He lives in the city, means the city where the king, like in the capital city where the king is. So he sees the king. He's not Mashenkin, a villager who lives in his own loch, in his own village. Once in the blue moon, all of a sudden he sees the king, he gets all excited. So that's how the Gemara describes the difference between the Cheskel and the Ishai. Which Chassidus always explains. Chassidus explains that the Cheskel is in Bria. There's all explanations why. What? Chassidus explains what does it really mean by Kfar Ben Kar, that the Gili of Ishai was the higher level of Gili because it's Nelam Abriya and the Cheskel is Nelam Eitzir. So the Gili, the Ishai is so higher level, that's why it was so much shorter. But the simple pshat is that Ben Kfar is more in a way of flash. He's much more overwhelmed and there's a lot of noise. So that for Mele, in our case, because we just said the Malachim are Kfar, they are not part of the Atzilus itself. They're the bank. B'noi Yerushalayim, they hold which is the Kfar. That's why Avidosam is Barash Godel. K'moi ben Kfar Samelach. Then Nema Kasheshana bein Achoichim. He brings another pasuk to strengthen the point you just made. The Bnei Yerushalayim is the Cholis, the Kfar. And whatever happens in the Kfar, there's Malachim in the Kfar, the Cholis. That's the Bnei Yerushalayim. אז אני אומר, כששנה בין האחרים, כן, היותי בין הבונס, there's the bonus, בני ירושלים, there is בין הבונס, היוסים, ששנה, what does it mean? ששנה כל פרס מלכה זה אציל, I know the avoid is, אבל לא חושבים ברעש ובהוד, כחייכים גם, מלכה זה אציל, שעבדה סוף כל זמן מדק, בשי. Okay, see, brother, another point, another illustration, maybe elaboration of that point, that Malchus that Silus is Kaviochel Shai and Mamadaka. You know, the beetle of Malchus. Malchus is part of the spheres. The beetle of Malchus is like Ben Kach. It's called Mamadaka. It's quiet because it's part of its being. The whole concept of noise, Silus always brings the marshal when you put piece of wood and fire to burn it makes a lot of noise. And the more wet the wood is, it makes a stronger noise. Why? Because wetness means it contradicts the fire. So when you have to overcome something, it creates noise. But if it's something smooth, something dry, and it's part of the environment, it doesn't contradict it, so it's much quieter. That's a marshal, obviously, to the concept we're saying here, that the bank far, the Bnei Yerushalayim, the bank far, to him, the Melech is something new, something the opposite of his being. The Melech, the people, is in a way Barash Godel. Finally, Barash Godel is not. There's a lot of there's a lot of noise because the beetle is not smooth. Mashenk and Malchus that Silus, which is part of Atzilus itself, so called Mamadaka B'Chshai. Upon him, ונגיע לענייננו, זה שכל מציאס, ניגע בשם העולם, איכל ועולם. Okay, now, okay, I'm sorry. So we finished one point, that Olam is the Metzius. The entire universe is broken into three parts called Olam, Shana, Nefesh. So usually Olam, Shana, Nefesh, the usual way to explain it, to see this is Olam is Makom, Shana is Man, and Nefesh is the godliness within it, the Neshama. That's the standard way Chassidus talks about Olam, Shana, Nefesh. Okay, now Maimon he goes a little more into it. The oil, he says, Olam means more than Makom. Olam means Metzius. The fact that something is a Metzius b'fnei atzmei, that's called Olam. So b'meile, in every, first of all, in our own experience, the physical being, and the spiritual experience within our own environment, Seichel and Midas. Then it's an Olam also. In every Madrigal Amayla, there's also the part which is called Olam. And the biggest Arichas spoke about is the Olam of the Metzius of the Cholis. The Cholis, the Malachim, they're all the way of Metzius. They're tangible beings. Period. So we finish this point. So the Malachim, because they're Metzius, that's why they're Biklas Barash, it's all connected to Metzius. Period. What is the reason, Take? Anything that's any existence, any being is called Olam. It's a wall, the Eichel, it's a chamber. Why? Because each Metzius is a combination of two parts. There's the oil and the Kli, which we will call it in modern terms, the energy and the matter, the oil, the energy within it, and the Kli, the receptacle of the energy, which is the matter. The Mele, oil mitzad atzmoi, hefzelis kalbim koil is vachshem tis loyla. The oil itself, the energy, the spiritual part, really is in mitzad atzmoi, it's by its own nature, doesn't want to dwell within the kelim. He wants to leave the place and go back to its source. And the marshal is always from a candle. If you look at a candle burning, the fire is striving to go up. what holds the fire? The candle holds it. The fire itself wants to go back to its source. We'll explain the tiny packet this. So B'meila says the Oyel Tadat Smoichet is Kalam Goyel is Balsham Tzis Loy Loy Lamak. V'akli Teufes es Oyel. V'Oyech Zayse Shaloy is Kalam Goyel. V'Yipnas Mitzis Loy Lamak. So the function of the kli, the function of the vessel, the receptacle is to force the energy not to dissipate, not to go back to its source, but stay within the kli and give it and express its energy there, the yoyo, and shine there. So this is the concept of oil kli. That applies not only in Earth the Atzilus, even in Earth the Biyah, so the nature of the earth, of any, even in the lower world, the novel, the nature, tivai, of the early key, of the godly energy that gives us life, the nature is really to go, not to stay here, to be to be consumed by its source. והכלים אין תפסים וארזים מסער שלא יזכר במקור. והכלים הם פרס מציאות, ועל זה אנחנו גם ארז פרס מציאות. So במילא, interesting. So in other words, to explain this part what it stated earlier, that oilam, that everything is a metzius. What is metzius? What makes it to be a metzius is the keli shaboy. Each part of Hishtashus has two, is made up of two, oil and kli. The kli forces the oil to stay in the way of metzius. It should not be bought. Should not be nisbat. The male is not, so the kelim are obviously metzius. So through the kelim, the oils also become metzius. So now you're going back to, and now further, now Vedas Hashem, the Avodah of Kelim is the way of Yesh. Because yeah means Yesh, like we call Yesh Misha'ayim. You feel your own being and you serve Hashem. Zeh shekol metzias nikah b'Hashem eichel, sheteifas ha'makim zeh shebeseif. So b'meila, according to that, we also understand why it's called Heichel. Why Eichel? If I remember in the, where was it? In the Ma'amar below and the Ma'amar before, which Ma'amar was it? 1 second. I think it was the Ma'amar. Yeah, the Ma'amar of the it's Dvorim, Reach Eloisi. He spoke about that the Bezman Hazeh we have on his Zayin Eichelos. He described what Eichel was. So there in Eichel he explained that Eichel, what he had a very interesting description what Eichel is. Let's find it. Look in the bottom of page Kuf Samach. Bottom of page Kuf Samach. This Ma'amar was said much later. We're learning a Ma'amar of Breithius. This is a Ma'amar of Dvorim, but I guess it's all interconnected. So the bottom of page Kuf Samach is said, and also the function of the Eichel is just like a regular chamber, a regular room, regular house. What is its function? To surround, to keep the person within the Eichel, keep the person that has boundaries, that keeps the whoever is in the Eichel, he should stay there, should not leave. So now that we describe that Metzius means that Metzius should teifes a makiv v'sayir, makiv in the sense that he captures him, he surrounds him, he doesn't let him be in a state of bittul, Lazar in Kairek. So the Eichel Kilo, it's in this visual image, in this marshal, it's called Eichel, just like an Eichel contains the person, it should stay within the Eichel, not leave. Similarly, the Kalim, which is called the Eichel, the earth should not leave, should not be Nichol in Kairek.
But on Kuf Samech Aleph, it says that יכולו שבהן מעמד ומצב הנשמות שנהן מזיו השכינו מלאכים העובדים באו בעירה.
Okay. Look, not you're going to. I just bought 1 point from there. Yeah, that mimer is a different mimer. It talks about different points. I just bought that point. What the bottom of Kuf Samach. Okay, now you talk the over there. It talks the echolis of Bia. You're not talking the echolis. It's talking about here. It's not exactly every. Doesn't fit every detail. Just this point that I made that says Tevis and Makib. Same thing over there. It says Makbil Sodom is Pashtus. I think that's the point I wanted to bring from bottom page of Sama. You're right. The rest of it in that Maimah, that Maimah I spoke about Eicholis is similar, but it didn't speak. He speaks over there. He speaks about the Zayin Eicholis and Olam Biyah. Different madrigas. Just the idea of Eichel. Kein Beichel that Atzilus Nislab Shemach Etzayin is a kein that feels that Atzilus. Because the Eichel, the Heichel of Atzilus is a low madriga. It's a madriga where the Kelim take over. It's a mitzvah. So what part of the essence feels is mislabish in the Eichelis on a Chitzayin is a kein that feels. Bepotius. More specifically, it says in Kabbalah, like we just brought from, it says in Kabbalah, the what part of Atzilus is in the Eicholis, only the Malchus, which is the lowest. That's Botis. With Chlolus, more general, not just Malchus, but all the other spheres, that what part of the spheres, only the Chitzanis. So it's almost, it jumps from one topic to the other, but eventually we'll get back. So now he's going to go into a long discussion. What is the difference between Chitzonius Akenim and Pnimis Akenim? So we just said that in a Cholos of Atzilus, what is mislabish the Chitzonius Akenim? That's stuck at the Lashon in, like we had earlier from. That's the Lashon tak in the Geras HaKodesh, Siman Kuf Lamed, we just bought before. That's exactly the Lashon. Siman Cho. I said, Daf Kuf Lamed Aleph. Kelim Ratzilus Mechitzonius HaKelim the Israel Ratzilus Shena Likus Nivo Yecholis Ratzilus. Again, the Lashon is Chitzonius HaKelim. So he's going into a little elaboration. What is Chitzonius HaKelim? Says Chitzonius Akenim. He says he's going to explain what's the difference between Chitzonius Akenim and Pnimis Akenim. The Mash Akenim is Kalos. Kalim are in a state of Iskalos, combination. One is combined from the other. What does Iskalos mean? One sphere receives energy from the other, like the one in my mind. Chesed and Gvul interact. The one is Makabel. Not only that, there's also in the world of Kalim, the way the spheres are created, you can't even see who is the beginning, who is the end, who is the top and who is the bottom. So we had the marshal earlier from the regal. It wasn't the head to move. The regal, the soif, the foot has to move the head. So we, in a certain sense, the soif, which is the regal, is the roish. Marshal every Adam. So that's he brings it for that. The marshal every Adam in the doings of the person of the being. They interconnected, intercombined. Shine sharish and kaba shlemas maregel. The male regel arish marish the same. The below zeh arish maregel the same. Without this combination, the arish is the arish and the regel is the same. The head and the foot, one is the top, one is the bottom, one is the beginning, one is the end. They sharish and kaba shlemas maregel. They say nasa regel arish marish nasa same. That is an important function of the kelim, the kelim of Atzilus and also Koyches HaNefesh. That everything's built in a way that all the koyches are interconnected in a way that each of them has an advantage over the other. Only when they are combined together, then each one reaches its perfection. One of each will only stay in its own parameters, so never going to reach perfection. Now we go back to what he said about Pnimis Rectangle. When we say that there is combination of the kelim, that the spheres are interacting with each other, and one is higher, that each one has its own, that aspect of the spheres, that there is Kalus, that only applies Pnimis Kelim. So what he's saying here is that one of the differences in Chitzanis Hakelim, Pnimis Hakelim is that the scales of the Kelim, the fact that the spheres are not, and remember that was a difference in Toy and Tikkun. If you remember the Hemshach of Shavuos Ayin, that in the world of Toyu, each sphere has its own power. It's not connecting to the others. There's a lack of communication. There's a lack of interaction. So that part of his kalus doesn't exist there before. In the Elam HaTzilus, in the Ishtalshlus, in the Elam HaTikkun, the way the Eibishter created the Elam HaTikkun is that all the parts, all the spheres, all the kelim interact with each other and they combine with each other. So now he says that that aspect of the spheres it's in Pnimis Hakelim. Aber it's so we'll continue tomorrow. Sorry, I'll probably audio tomorrow. I'll try to find it. What did you say before? Oh, 1 second. Thank you. Okay.